Yo, what is up? It's JJ from 845, and by now you heard a thing or two about Blackmagic's 4K and 6K cameras, and I wanted to see how well their quality stood against my older cameras. So for this quick test, I'll be using Sony's A7S Mark I from 2014, the A7 III that I'm currently using on to film myself with, and then my usual setup, which is Sony's FS5, along with the Atomos Shogun Inferno. While the lighting conditions were not completely the same, given the fact that I was using one camera after the other, capturing our cacti in the windowsill, I did try to keep everything else the same. So same lens, same aperture, same codec. The only main difference is that while the other cameras do not have an internal ND, so I had to use a Tiffin variable ND filter, the Sony one ended up using the internal ND. So I'll be playing footage from each camera one after the other, and right after that, I'll go ahead and put all four cameras side by side so that way you can see the difference. And a side note, I did color grade all the footage so that way they look close as possible. It wasn't epic, I know, it's cacti in a windowsill. So the better camera is, yeah, the Blackmagic cinema camera. It's newer, it's better, it has a better sensor, you have different frame rates for more flexibility, and of course the codecs right off the camera is really great. But is it the better camera? Well, of course it's gonna depend. So for me, this is how I plan on using these cameras. Blackmagic cinema camera, indoors, inside, in studio, complete control lighting. Don't care for audio because someone else is probably doing it. Don't care for pulling focus because, again, someone else is probably doing it. And in a need for the absolute best quality image, hands down, Blackmagic cinema camera. A7 III Mark III, the camera that I'm using to film myself with. Obviously, this camera is known for its autofocusing. So this camera is usually on a gimbal and it will follow a subject's face quite really well, especially given the fact that if you're using a fast lens that's paired with it. It's light enough, you can power it numerous ways, and so you can throw this on a gimbal, you can put a monopod underneath the gimbal and hoist it up and kind of fake an aerial camera. You just can't do that with a bigger cinema camera. I mean, you could, but you'd just probably be really tired. Sony's FS5 Mark I. This camera by far has been my favorite camera to use the past few years for three reasons. One, its form factor. Has a great hand grip. It's small enough that you can tuck underneath your arm and shoot stabilized while being handheld, and you can actually place this on a gimbal. Two, it has two XLR inputs, period. And three, my all-time favorite feature of this camera that should be on all cameras produced today is an electronic variable ND filter. You can dial this thing from a quarter all the way up to 128th, making shooting, run and gun shooting that is, from indoors to outdoors a lot more seamless and easy, especially if you want to keep your aperture constant and the look the same. And lastly, the A7S Mark I from 2014. I would say this is a legendary camera that kind of changed the game for low ISO shooting. And for the last few years, it has been my B camera ever since getting the FS5. But to be honest, after having the A7 III, A7 III became my B camera while the A7S became my C cam / backup camera. Despite being an old camera, the A7S still has great image quality. Here's two clips from two interviews that I've done a few years ago, it being used as a secondary angle. With that being said, I am ready to let go of my A7S camera. So if you are looking for a B camera or C camera, do hit me up. I'll be including everything that you see right here. That is the camera itself. That is a cage for Motion 9. This is like a few $100s when it came out. There is a NATO rail here that I put that you can just slide in a monitor, which is all you need to be shooting 4K with this camera, by the way. Micro HDMI cable to a full, the HDMI stopper, so that way the HDMI port doesn't get messed up. And last but not least, one of my favorite add-ons for small rig is this adapter, which is 20 bucks alone. You can put 15 millimeter rails in here because even though I'll be including the batteries, the original batteries that go for this camera, the MP50s, using this for video just eats it up like candy. So you probably won't be using those batteries for video, but as a backup, sure, they work. But I'll be including all the batteries in there as well. But this adapter, you can go ahead and put 15 millimeter rails because you are most likely going to be using an external power source to power both the camera and your monitor. The price is in the description below and my email is there as well, so feel free to hit me up if you are interested in this A7S camera that is ready to be shooting 4K images for you. Questions, comments, leave them below, and yes, as a reminder, the lighting was not the same in the video comparisons. Peace.